James Rock Show.
You're watching my James Rock Show.
Right, it's Dan from The Rock Show, and I get these lovely gentlemen from Nothing More to introduce themselves.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Mark.
And you guys, what do you play for those who don't know?
I play the bass.
And I play the guitar. We are the Stringsmen. Just to let you know.
Stringsmen?
The
That's what we call
Stringsmen.
ourselves, yeah.
That's like it sounds like a film that you could do. It's like, we're the Stringsmen.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, riding horses across the countryside. Yeah, liberating the oppressed.
While
That's
carrying
what we
the
do.
guitars, too.
Yeah. Jamming at night.
Okay, if you guys don't do this for a music video at some point, I might actually be a bit disappointed. So we actually caught up with you reasonably recently. It was yourself, as it happens, at Download. So we're on the Bullet tour with Shvpes and Of Mice and Men. Last date for here. How's it been going? Because it's an immense lineup.
Yeah, it's been very good. Honestly, this is probably collectively the most amount of people night after night we've played for here in Europe. So that's really cool, and it's nice to have the same lineup. Everyone gets into the groove of tour,
Yeah.
And whatnot. But it's cool. It's always a blessing to be in front of so many new people, and to experience each city. We finally got to get a little better sleep now.
Okay, fantastic.
As we're in the top of the bus right now. So we all have our own bunk and everything. So that's been very nice. And so you get to see, more of each city rather than just a parking lot or, the back of a van seat. So
That does, for a lot of bands that people don't realise, is you get, and they're like, how was that city? It's like, well, I saw the same back of the seat that I did everywhere. There was a tiny dressing room. They were nice. They brought us stuff.
There are so many parking lots that I reminisce about. It's like, wow, I did that in that parking lot, and then that was when I discovered the human genome in that parking lot. All these moments of genius in parking lots. But this tour's been a ton of fun. The weather's been great too.
Which is surprising because you're in Europe. So.
Yeah. We're from Texas. We're used to sunshine, so the fact that we get to see it this time is cool. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And have you had a chance to be able to watch the other bands? Because it's quite varied for being one lineup. You don't have one specific genre leading through everything, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is nice, like you're saying, to kind of have more of an ebb and flow throughout the whole show. So that's good. Yeah, and we've been sharing the bus with Shvpes, so we've gotten along with them and gotten to know them more as people too. They kill it every night. Of Mice and Men is a great breath of fresh air and positivity we were just talking about. And we have a tour coming up with them in the States in February, March. So that's really cool. Yeah, we kind of finally bonded a bit more, and then Bullet hits the stage, and their production's awesome. The light show is astounding.
I can't wait, because we've been following them on tour on social media, and you guys, anybody from this one, we're like, what are we waiting for? And it's just looked so immense. I'm pleased that you mentioned the positivity of Mice and Men, because it was something that we focused on a lot last time, was you guys being this quite positive band. Is that something that you sort of look for when you are going out with people? There's sort of not necessarily similar music, but maybe similar mindedness?
Absolutely, I'd say so. Dan and I were actually just talking that it's like it's easy to be brought down by negativity and everyone complaining all the time. So when you meet a band and it's like you're just happy humans.
Yeah.
Like it's so refreshing and so awesome, and you can just talk about life and be positive about life. And
I've heard of certain people referred to as, I think it was crew cancer or something like that. And even in our camp, like, we've had people before where it's not that you're bad at your job or incapable, it's that you don't get along with others. And it's like the moment there's it's so hard to be out here. There's no personal space. There's no room for like bad attitudes. So that's kind of what it is. Mice and Men though is like insanely positive, which is cool. They're like, when they walk into your dressing room, they're from LA or California, and it's just like this beautiful, like, it's like listening to the Beach Boys, It's like something like that just walked into the room. So they're good dudes. We're really looking forward to the US tour in February. So
well, we saw them at Download a couple of years back, and they had one of the heaviest press schedules of everybody. And they didn't realize that we were like sort of within earshot, and they're like, oh, we're just so tired, and then looked up and they just went, not anything to do with you guys. It's like, right, let's do this. It's like, I've got food waiting. They just completely threw off the tiredness and any like annoyance they had and just cracked on with it. And as you say, it's wonderful to actually have these people around.
When you meet and when you're around them too, like, I forget that they're monster musicians. You know, I go out and watch them and I'm like, wow, they're the fucking tightest band on this tour. So, which is cool. It's like awesome they can not be dicks and be incredible.
Especially with the fact that they're still getting used to a massive lineup change. I mean, that's fantastic to hear that they're tight as, well, anything really, because it could have really disrupted, you know?
Oh, easily, yeah. And it's such a big thing to lose a singer, and especially we come from a similar area of to where, you know, we had 5 other singers before, and then, you know, Johnny decided to step up to the plate, and we supported him through it. And it was an awkward transition at first, but it's man, we're so proud of him now.
Yeah.
So to see a band go through a similar situation, I'm really proud of them for keeping at it, not giving up, not deciding to find another singer, deciding that it's like, no, we have everything we need right here. Aaron's gonna kill it, and he is every night.
Because it's one of those things. I was we do history on a band just beforehand, make sure there's nothing like that. And it's one of the things that's still actually at the top of your description is that you spent the early years with a lineup change. Whereas for us, we knew you guys as you are now and watched you grow as you are now. And it was interesting to actually read up on how much difficulty you had, because it seemed so natural for you from the point that we picked you up as a radio show and started doing interviews and playing tracks. So you're right, it must have really worked for you guys, because we just assumed that was the way you had always been.
Yeah. No, as the 14th bass player of this band, I mean, the lineup's everything, you know. I'm sure there have been bands greater than the Beatles that have gotten together, but they hated each other, you know, and it's something we encourage in every band, you know, if you're up and coming or if you're a big band. It's like, if you get the right people together, things can be good, and there can be magic, you know. And we really stress like the importance of like kind of the iron sharpens iron, you know, like biblical mantra. So yeah. I mean, it took us a long time to get here, but I wouldn't change, you know, one day of the past, you know, because that 10 years before we even, you know, got a label interested in us that's where we learned everything, you know. And and you know, for 15 years now, I've always looked to my right, and, you know, there's Mark, and it's like it's a cool family thing, and
Stringsmen.
Yeah, Stringsmen. Sorry, back to the movie.
But it actually is one of those interesting things, because you've had such a tenure. I mean, we laugh about the movie, but it'd be fascinating to have something made showing how long it took you guys to get what most people would consider necessarily the success. And the way that you talk about those 10 years is wonderful, because you don't want to change them, because they're part of your history. And maybe it's part of the reason you guys are so down to earth and happy, because like it took the 10 years of shifting things around and working out what was what, because the industry is hard. We're actually heralding 10 years ourselves this year as a radio show.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then we realised that we're the only independent radio show in at least the UK that's been going for 10 years. And we're like, oh, that's quite interesting. But
that's cool.
Again, lineup where myself and the gentleman currently holding the camera, hi Mike, we're actually like, we were best friends before we ever started doing a radio show together, and that's probably helped us do this for 10 years, because well, I'm a terror to deal with a lot of the time. So you probably have to be my friend to put up with me.
Well, yeah, you know, if anything, it's like, it's not to say that you're naive to any hard times or obstacles that you have. If anything, it's, you just know how to navigate through them. You learn better and better. And the fact that we've seen each other at our worst and at our best, what that's love. Yeah. Like you pull each other up when you need it, and you help each other out, and you keep going. I wouldn't trade any of our past, and I wouldn't decide that, Johnny, you should sing now. You know, you should have been the first singer, because he needed to be the drummer at the time, and we needed to start touring then, and for him to find himself as a singer. Yeah, there's so many things that just need to happen, that if you would fast forward and or take something back, it would just be completely different.
Well, the thing is I'm a vocalist myself, as and when I get an opportunity, normally just to break a few windows nearby to me and stuff like that. But I love Johnny. I think he's something different. And like I say, when we discovered you guys, it was like, this is incredible. And finding out that it wasn't actually his first thing, you know, like a bit like take Killswitch, Adam D, one of the most game-changing guitarists out there, started as the drummer in the band. And
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So it's little things like that to find out that Johnny's done the same thing when most people kind of go, how are you not always the vocalist? I mean, he's one of the best in the game at the moment. So if it's taken the passage, like, you guys have done something really good with that in that case. Do you have any things that you still do on tour to keep the positivity? Because mine is getting at the start of a long journey, getting a Costa before I drive. Just so that's my thing, you know. Do you have anything like that you still do that kind of keeps you positive?
Yeah. I mean, coffee is a first, obviously, of course, every morning. You know, this bus has a great coffee machine. I think we're all pretty happy with it. No, we all encourage each other to be active and. I think maturing and growing and learning in any regard that you're excited about. It's whether it be, you know, today's avenue is like Netflix, and there's so many documentaries and things you can learn from and get attached to and understand, or to just keep yourself inspired. Yeah. So sometimes it is very difficult to do that, but having that sort of thing, whether it be a book, a video game, a series, really kind of helps you get through the tour too, and not just stare at the wall, you know, or the ceiling in the top of your bunk and just wish you were home. Yeah, you know, we all encourage each other to make the most of the time and to be explorative, if that's even a word. But
it's one now. It's one.
Yeah, that's the bailout of anything now. Stringsmen, and then you run.
We've actually found, and we'll happily give you the list of the ones that we listen to at the moment, but we've actually found podcasting has been a saving grace of ours. Yeah. Because every so often, like, we can spend like weeks together in a similar way to you guys. And don't get me wrong, we love each other, but every so often it's like you run out of actually things to talk about because you've been in each other's company for so long. So we jam on like the Jamie Jaster podcast and listen to other people talking about the same struggle and what they do. And we've actually taken a couple of hints and tips from people, like maybe leaving a couple of hours early so that you can ground yourself, have a meal before you go off and do the gig. Whereas for years we were just like, right, let's get there, do the interview, do the gig, drive home, and we're getting so burnt out doing it. But listening to podcasts and hearing other people going, no, if you don't monitor this stuff, and sometimes just hearing somebody else say, I'm struggling with the same issue, kind of makes you go, oh, well, at least I'm not the only one that's struggling to sit on a bus day after day.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're not alone in your struggles, know that.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily matter what they are, because we've done a big angle in the last couple of years on mental health, partly because of watching so many people, you know, struggle, basically. And we've heard from our fans that it's almost been the thing that they've needed to hear, that they're struggling to turn up to an everyday job and stare at those four walls every day, and hearing some of their like favourite artists kind of go, well, no, it happens to us as well. Like, you get bus fever or car park fever, as you say, where you kind of get used to staring at the same things. And so yeah, no, it's lovely that people like yourselves are coming out and saying that sort of stuff, because it was a theme of our last interview, and quite a few I've seen you guys do, because I'm that geeky. I'll sit and watch interviews that I'm not doing with people, just like, I wonder what they're talking about, you know.
I wonder what they're talking about.
Well, slightly for me, I'm like, is anybody asking the same weird questions that I do? Because it makes me feel better when I see other interviewers just rambling at people, because it's all I do. So
yeah, the weirder the better, really. I mean,
Stringsmen.
Yeah.
You're not.
I'm tired of answering the question, why does Mark not wear shoes on stage? You know,
is that a question that comes up a lot? I mean,
oh yeah.
There's that. There's, you know, why didn't Johnny wear a shirt or shoes?
I thought it was quite obvious why Johnny didn't wear a shirt, because he spent more time, shall we say, designing what's underneath than any t-shirt on the top. Am I allowed to say that? Because I mean, dude is hench.
Oh yeah, you know, you're totally allowed to say that. It's funny that it's become more of a spectacle or whatever. A lot of people talk about it and wonder why, because even to us 15 years ago, it's like every band practice, he's just kind of a no-shirt guy.
Yeah.
It's not to attract attention or anything.
And we actually had to like qualify it. It's like, he's like, am I a douchebag if I don't wear a shirt? And we decided you're a douchebag if you take your shirt off on stage. But if you start without a shirt, then that's your natural state. So
see, we had a really funny thing with him because he was our first interview on the show.
Okay.
So we sat on a tour bus years ago in Bristol, and he's the loveliest guy, much like yourselves. And then we went away, got some food, did the usual, came back. And suddenly he's up on stage, and like, literally had no idea he was that hench, because in clothes and stuff, he was just super chilled. And it's like, the thing is you see a lot of people pouring sweat. Is if you're confident enough to whip the old t-shirt off, I mean, as long as you don't mind me throwing mine at you, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, on the shoes, I kind of want to ask, why you're still wearing your shoes on stage,
Yeah.
So that's the flip of the question there.
What's funny is I've actually done a lot of barefoot running, in my time. But there's something, I think I stepped on like an XLR cable at one point at like my parents' house, and it was like,
So
not gonna deal with it. So.
Have you guys seen English plugs? Because they're like a thing to stand on. Because they sit
they're
with
gigantic.
and the prongs sit upwards as well. So
yeah.
Everybody's done it at some point in their lives, trying to stumble through the house to go to the toilet or get a drink or something, and you will stand on a plug and through pain see God. I mean, it's,
yeah. Oh, the English plug. I've pondered the English plug. I'm like, everything else about here is modern. There's some old architecture, but the plug, like, it's gigantic.
Yeah, no, we don't get it either, to be honest. It's just one of those things that's never changed. So
it's
be wary
too late,
walking around a venue in low-level darkness without shoes on. Is the only thing I'll say to you is you might end up a cropper.
A cropper. Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so
good to know.
Trying to rescue some of my professionalism back. What are you guys up to after this tour?
Yeah, we today's the last show of the tour,
Yep.
and then we'll fly back home tomorrow, be home for about 10 days, and then we go out with 3 Days Grace tour in Canada, which is
so
gonna
quite
be...
a difference in lineup there.
Yeah,
because 3 Days Grace are a lot lighter.
Yeah. But they're from Canada, and so it'll all be good crowds and a lot of new people we're exposed to, a lot of cities we haven't been in, a lot of cold that we don't experience very much in Texas at all.
That's fair enough.
So
Yeah.
it'll be freezing, and we'll probably be crying about it.
Nice. I mean, do you guys look forward to converting new fans? Because you said it's a theme of this tour as much as it's going to be the next tour. You guys must like getting out there to people that you don't see and seeing if you can get them into the Nothing More sort of family.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun kind of being the underdog, like trying to convince somebody of something. We before this tour, we came off a long string of headlining, and it's fun having a new audience. As awkward as it can be when people don't know you, they don't get into it, but to kind of see them change in the 30 minutes you have with them is cool.
Well, we had that with the Bristol show I was telling you about, because you guys weren't headlining that one. So it was fun watching, again, because normally stand back so that we can blog and do the watching and sense the crowd as well. And it was fun watching people warm up across the thing. We always say that it's down to two things, whether or not there's a bit of a vibe to the night, but secondly, how much the guys on stage are trying to give the energy to the crowd by running crazy. And you guys sort of hit that mark, whereas you give the energy so people respond to it. We've been to very few gigs where the guys on stage are absolutely thrown down and it doesn't transfer to the crowd because, well, maybe alcohol helps, but people tend to respond to that energy and stuff like that, and it's something that you guys have had from the moment that we first watched. So if you don't bring it tonight again, I'm gonna sort of get very upset. Maybe even jump on Twitter and complain. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Yeah, we'll allow it if that's the case.
Well, to be fair, it's a standard you guys have set now, so that's all I'm asking you to maintain is the similar thing. To be fair, I'll probably just witter at you if I don't wrap this up sometime soon and say even weirder things, because that tends to be long interviews with me. Anyway, thank you for taking a couple of minutes to just talk about
thank you.
last couple of months and what's to come.
Yeah,
you guys are awesome.
Definitely.
Appreciate the support.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
From the Mike James Rock Show.
thank you for watching my interview with Nothing More. They were awesome and put up with me, which is great. If you want to see more weird interviews, hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell at the bottom of the screen, and you get everything that we do.